Now I wanted to take you around the farm, and we have about 15 acres of switchgrass. So I wanted to show you some of the switchgrass that we have going or growing, talk about how we planted it, and really talk about how that relates to you and the management of your switchgrass, choosing what seed to plant. But this is a field that was actually planted by machine. Brandon from First Choice Food Plots came out here and drilled it in 2020, so quite a while ago. Most of it's in that 6-foot range behind me, and cave and rock variety. So I'm going to show you a couple different varieties out here. You know, we sell a cave and rock blend for a northern area, and we sell a southern area. And bottom line is you have to pick, and I'll repeat this several times, you have to pick the best variety for your location in the country. We try to offer a planting map on our website and a couple different varieties for you to plant, even an extreme variety for sandy soils up north for Pure Wildlife Blends, our seed company. But bottom line is this is just one planting. Let's go visit some more so you can see. And again, this is cave and rock right here. Now this is, well, it's 0 degrees out, so we're just getting in and out of the side-by-side. But this is RC Big Rock switchgrass, and it was frost seeded about 3 years ago. So I want to just see you to see the difference when we go around the field. About the same as our cave and rock blend on the other side. Let's go check out some more areas because we have some good and bad of both RC Big Rock and cave and rock blends. Now can you guess which side is cave and rock and which side is RC Big Rock? Neither can I, only I already know when I planted it or what I planted. This RC Big Rock over here was planted 2 years ago, and it was planted by frost seed. And then this cave and rock over here was planted by machine by Brandon from First Choice Food Plots 3 years ago, or 3 seasons ago. So 3 years of growth, 2 years of growth, and kind of all about the same if you really look at it. And we'll discuss why in a little bit. But let's go around the property. I want to show you some more. Maybe you can guess before I say the name which one it is. You know, this might be a tough one for you because for one, we have beautiful switchgrass back here in this corner, and you can see some of it's getting up to 7 feet tall right up in this area, but it's not machine planted. We frost seeded this, and it's actually cave and rock. This is from 2020. So Brandon planted some by machine out there then, some by this. This was actually planted in the end of June. It was right after our Father's Day charity event with Kicking Bear. Had tons of rain, had chemically controlled this area 3 times prior, and we ended up getting a good stand, you know, really good stand. But as I'm showing you all this around here, the variety of the switchgrass matters. You have to pick the variety for your area. That's why we have north, south, extreme blends, depending on if you're northern sandy, northern variety, or southern variety, all the way down to Kentucky, Alabama, Louisiana. But really, what is going to determine your success, there's no perfect way to plant switchgrass, is how you manage it. So let's go look at some other areas. It's nice to have our cave and rock blends, the big RC Big Rock out here, show you some of the differences. And in the end, I think you're gonna find there's not much difference. We're gonna go look at some bad stuff right now. I'll go show you that. Now here's an area of RC Big Rock that looks pretty poor, but it has nothing to do with the switchgrass variety. It doesn't matter if this is cave and rock, RC Big Rock, our northern blend for this location. Has a lot of weeds in here, a lot of broadleafs. You can see we had a lot of Queen Anne's lace here last year. And so this field right here, I've seen people take a field like this, doesn't matter what variety it is, and they kill it and start over. And that's the worst thing you could do. Even where you see there's weeds in here, you can see switchgrass coming in. Each one of these switchgrass clusters will represent a foot, 15 inches of seed, 6, 7 feet high. So once we smoke these weeds out, this field right here, by the time we get into late summer, this field should be 6, 7 feet high, very thick. And we just are 2 sprayings away of killing this with 2,4-D one time. I found that 1.5 pints per acre of 2,4-D is a pretty good mix on especially established switchgrass where there's lower risk of killing it or injuring it. And once we smoke these broadleafs out of here, we're gonna have a great stand. The dumbest thing we could do would be to get rid of this. And it's RC Big Rock. And what you'll find is looking at all these stands we have out here, whether we machine planted or frost seeded, the determination of how well it's doing had to do with weed control and management and really site specific. We have a lot of locations in here that we planted at the same time, one planting versus another the same way. One will have a lot of weeds, one doesn't. Same process, everything the same. So what it really boils down to is how well you choose to manage the switchgrass afterwards, how much weed control you have, and while there's no perfect method for planting this, there are perfect ways to manage it long term, and we'll share that with you. We share that in a lot of our switchgrass videos. Never give up on your switchgrass. Very foolish to get rid of a field no matter what the variety is. And we're gonna go take a look at one more over here. I actually have another Cave and Rock and RC Big Rock planted side by side, one machine planted, one frost seeded, and we'll go see how both are doing, and we'll finish with that. But really that's why we came up with our own blends, a northern blend that's Cave and Rock based, and a southern blend that's based with a Blackwell down there, where we really try to match the conditions in your spot in the country with what variety you should be planting in that location. And then we offer a couple smaller varieties within there, medium height, to offer stiffness and to make sure you don't plant too much of one thing and you get that so that it lays down in the wind. You get thinner stands because you planted too much. We want that smaller variety in there to take some space, but then allow that full head of mature switchgrass of what's specific for your location to actually rule the stand. So let's go take a look at one more, and you'll see we have poor areas of Cave and Rock out here. We have poor areas of RC Big Rock. It just depends on how we managed it, how we planted it in the first place. We had poor areas of machine planted and frost seeded. Really just depended on the year and the location. So let's go look at this last stand. Now, this is an area where I have Cave and Rock behind me that was machine planted, and RC Big Rock right here where I'm standing that was frost seeded. Now you might look at this and say, wow, this sucks. And I'm looking at it and saying, we have switchgrass all over and pretty evenly distributed throughout this planting right here where it's frost seeded. We need to do a better job on is hitting this with the 1.5 pints per acre of 2,4-D to take out the broadleafs, including the briars that are back here. I think if we spray this one time, we would spray this probably mid-June, end of June, and mow it too to get some of these briars out of here. We're gonna have a stand that's 6-7 feet tall. Looks just like the one behind right here. And really, again, it's not the variety, you just need to match it for your location. It's how you plant it, how you manage it. You can't say that this one is better than that one or vice versa. And a lot of times people ask, you know, when I redo this switch, when I actually spray it 2,4-D, would you ever seed extra seed in here to try to thicken it up? And the way this is distributed throughout here, there's plenty of switchgrass in this stand. The reason it's shorter is because it's competed with by briars and broadleafs, and it doesn't allow it to grow to its thickness that it's going to or its height. And so in this case, when you have an even distribution, I would not want to add seed, because the problem isn't the amount that's growing here, it's the competition. It gets diminished in volume and height and really weakens the stand. So once we get basically the competition out, we're going to be fine. Now, switchgrass, if it's growing within other switchgrass, the other switchgrass, those young plants will shade it out and kill it. So it doesn't matter if it's switchgrass killing it out, out-competing it, or broadleafs, grasses. We use quinchloric when we have foxtail and other grasses within the switchgrass. But you can't have competition, and that's why switchgrass won't spread unless there happen to be a bare patch of soil over there, the seed blows into it, there's no weeds, it stays open throughout the growing season, allows the switchgrass to take place, and as you can imagine, that just doesn't happen. And now if we went into an area where it had a pretty strong hold of broadleaf, and we had plants that were more like every 3 or 4 feet instead of every foot to 6 inches, 15 inches apart, then I would consider adding another 3 or 4 pounds per acre of switchgrass and let that come in with the thought that we're going to spray that broadleaf out of there. We'll allow that switchgrass to come in underneath, but I would always spray the broadleaf first and then add the switchgrass later and see if I could thicken the stand there. But it's not a guarantee, because even the other switchgrass will shade it out and kill it. But that'd be where I'd want to try when it's evenly spaced and you think the weed you're spraying out is really a monoculture within that'll allow you to take out a really good percentage of the competition that would be in that stand. So again, check out our website, Pure Wildlife Blends. You can see the switchgrass that we offered. We only showed you a small percentage of the stands of switchgrass that we have out here. We've planted it every way you can, every time you can, gone through drought or great rain, and we've had success or failure all around. And really never a failure, more just stands that didn't grow as well as the other stands on the property, and that was not determined by the variety, but instead how we planted it, when, and the weather, and then how we manage it afterwards. So never give up on your stands of switchgrass. I just cringe when I hear people taking out 5 acres or 3 acres
because they think that another variety is going to do better. Sorry guys, my mic died right at the very end of that video, so figure I could just improvise, put my own voice in there, and to make it up to you guys, I'm going to put a blooper of Jeff falling down in the air at the end. Enjoy.
I appreciate you guys watching the YouTube channel, but I don't know if everyone knows everything that we have to offer, whether it's on whitetailhabitatsolutions.com, our website, or WHS Wildlife Blends, our seed company. Also Instagram you can check out. I'm very active on Instagram, putting strategies on there, photos of what we do every day. Much more active there than Facebook. But our seed, web classes, books, clients, articles. I have over 600 articles on whitetailhabitatsolutions.com, everything whitetail strategy. Of course, we have hats on there, and then make sure to check us out on Instagram again. But lots of stuff to offer. We're always coming out with new things, and this isn't the end of it. We have more things coming soon. Make sure to check us out.